Hey, what's up, YouTube? Mike here with Crazy Moto, and I'm coming at you guys with a video that I've been pretty excited to shoot. It's going to be getting into a lot of what we're going to be doing on this channel. Now, for those of you that don't know, I own CRZYWRLD.com. Actually, it's CRZYMoto.com. The full name is Crazy Motorsports, but CRZYMoto.com is a blog and a motorsports store where I feature a lot of my own originally designed apparel. If you see apparel on my website, I designed it. I drew it, I put it in the computer, and I turned it into a final design. So with that being said, I'd like to introduce you guys to my latest drop, Bad Alice. Crazy Bad Alice. And this is a design I actually drew several years ago, knowing I would eventually turn it into a t-shirt for the website. So here it is, and I hope you guys like it. Alright, so now that you've seen Bad Alice, I got stickers and t-shirt available for purchase on the website. Every dime that is spent on the website, 5% of that is stashed away to go to help people in need in larger cities. And the other percentage of the profit goes directly back into the channel. So if you like the content and you were looking for a way to help me out, that's how you do it. All right. So now that that's out of the way, we can get into the content of this video, which is, the stable update. We're going to be going over all the vehicles and the plans for each one, and let you guys know that there's some really cool things in the future that we're going to be doing on this channel, and I'm trying to get it to grow to the point where I can bring you guys the content we all love, in-depth, detailed builds, tool reviews, tool builds, box reviews. So right now we're standing in my garage. Bear with me with the mess. I'm still getting a lot of this stuff out of here. A lot of this stuff over here is going to be going to a storage locker at some point very soon, so I have more space. So I guess I'll just go over my setup with you guys at the house. So my setup at the house is very limited. If you guys watch my toolbox tour, which I'll link in the description and hopefully up, here somewhere. But if you watch the toolbox tour, I have my 80-inch Husky box at the shop with all of my tools in it. So what I did recently to have something at the house was I recently brought one of my other boxes home. So this was actually my very first box, like the one that I actually purchased myself. And I purchased this box through the Mr. Tire New Hire Toolkit, which is a phenomenal deal. If you or anybody you know is a Mr. Tire employee, you'll want to look into this kit. It really is a very good deal. So basically I just have your standard stuff. Like, I really don't have a lot of tools here. Pretty much everything's at the shop, but I got my ATD 1/4-inch set here, Titan swivels from AutoZone. This is actually one of the best deals for swivels on the market besides online. But if you're looking for swivels and you need some in person, this whole kit with the adapters as well, 2 of them are missing. I'm using them right now, but this is only like 14 bucks. Got my long Allens, some various sizes, or actually these are all 1/2 inch, but it goes up from 10 to like I want to say 23 or 24. And I have other randos here, countersink bits, my Milwaukee drivers. If you have a drill and you do things, mechanical work, these are an absolute must. It turns any drill into something you can put a socket on. They're amazing. I will actually link these in the description, because if you don't have these and you are doing bolts, like, it will cut your time in like 1/10. So in these drawers, standard wrenches, metric in this one, and then some, these are all parts for Venom. We'll get into Venom in a second. And then, just random little things that you'll need: the electrical drawer, piston ring compressor, valve lapping tools, and then all the paints and polishing kit. So that's basically it for the setup of the house. I'm really working with limited tools here. Alright, so the first vehicle, Venom. So actually we're not going to start with Venom, we're going to start with Project 1. Okay. So this bike that is sitting in here in pieces on this table is Project 1. Now, I categorize all my builds on the website for the blog. Every build is called CRZYStable. This one is named Project 1 because this is the first bike I've ever built. I have already built this bike 2 times in the past. So I'll throw up on the screen what it looked like when I got it and what it looked like when I was finished with it. So as you guys can see, it was red and black, and I'm a huge fan of that color scheme, but for this, I wanted to go black and gold. And at the time when I built it the first time, my mechanical knowledge was limited, so I wasn't able to do all the things I wanted to do, excuse me. But now that I'm at a point farther along in my mechanical knowledge, I felt more comfortable to take on some of the challenges, namely the big one, which was rebuilding this entire motor from scratch. Pulling the crankcase, painting it, and very shortly you will see the finished motor for this bike. And if I do say so myself, honestly, it's absolutely beautiful. I spent a lot of time on it, and I'm extremely pleased with the way it came out. So, as you guys can see, it's completely in pieces, but pretty much all the pieces are ready to go. I'm only waiting on 2 back-ordered parts from China for the engine. The engine build is done, save for literally 2 pieces. And that is a spring for the oil pump chain tensioner and a shaft that slides in and slides through the shift forks, which one has to be installed before the other, so I can't put in the other without the other one. So it's back ordered. I've literally ordered it 4 months ago, and I'm still waiting for it, and it was driving me crazy. And because I was waiting so long for it and couldn't ride, I bought this one, but we'll get into that in a second. So I spent a lot of time on this bike. This bike has hundreds of hours into it, and it's, paint and design. So this right here is going to be the front fairing setup for this bike. Now, this is true carbon fiber, real carbon fiber plate, 3D printed headlight bezel, which I designed myself. And then you can see that the bezel sandwiches the headlight into the carbon fiber. There's going to be a trim panel on the backside here. I know a lot of people would leave that, but I just get too carried away, man. Like I'll walk through it for like 5 hours, do everything, and then I'll come back and be like, you know what? All of these bolts should be white, or all of these bolts should be gold, and I will just, redo all of it. So that's going to be the headlight setup. This frame, if you look at this frame here, you realize that these 2 bikes are the exact same. Well, the frames aren't anymore because obviously this one's been built and painted. I modified heavily. I put in this trellis work here, relocated the battery to this tray. Seat mount, battery sits in here. And then the back side, mounted this. That's going to be for a license plate. I might put the license plate up there. This is also going to be painted black or covered with sheet metal. And that's one of the points I wanted to get to. This frame is going to be sandblasted and repainted because when I very first started this, there were some things I did that just did not turn out as well as they need to, such as some of these welds, these brackets for the radiator. They're just ugly. They need to be redone. And at the time, I wanted to ride so bad. At one point, I was just like, fuck it, dude, you can do that. You can do that later. You just need to get it done so you can ride. But then I decided to buy this one because I wanted something to ride in the meantime, and that is turning to be basically just a whole nother build. We'll get into that in a second. So this bike is going to be a street fighter. I always loved the naked bike look. I love the mechanicalness of it. You could see all the parts. You could see what things were doing. And, I think function in of itself has its own sort of beauty. The ugliest, most complicated thing is kind of inherently beautiful if it works. So function is very important, but do not get me wrong, I also dig my aesthetics. So that's pretty much the rundown for this bike right now. As the channel progresses and as I have more and more time to build, each one of these vehicles is going to get their own separate video, and we'll more in depth into plans like performance mods, things of that nature. So that's project 1. You'll probably expect the next video on the channel to be a video about project 1. So now that brings us to the other bike, Venom. Okay, so Venom. This bike was going to be color scheme wise based off of the Marvel character Venom. I had recently watched the movies and I dug it, so I wanted to build a bike and kind of like have that vibe. I'm a huge fan of Marvel. Anything Marvel, I dig it, bro. And I'm like hella sad that Iron Man is dead because he was my favorite character, and now we're never gonna get another Iron Man video unless they like go back into the future or some shit and they're like, oh yeah, this is what he did in between the other Iron Mans. All right, I'm going off on a tangent. I'm sorry, but Iron Man, bro. So when I first got this bike, so 10 o'clock, middle of nowhere, 2.5 hours from home, but I did just get my next project bike and I didn't strap it down properly, so it's leaning like a motherfucker. But pull up to the gas station and boom, Dodge Viper, bro. Nothing like a good old American V10 supercar. Fucking right, man. She's looking pretty. It looked like this. It's completely messed up, absolutely filthy. So I got it. First thing I did was clean it up and then decide what we were gonna do with it. When I first got it, it wasn't running. So I changed the plugs and got it running like the second day I had it. I was super hyped. So naturally, having it running, I immediately got on it and took it around the block. And that exposed the fact that one of the cylinders had completely lost compression. It was not accelerating like it should. And as amazing as it was to be on a bike, for any amount of time, it was definitely just a tease and kind of disappointing. So brought it in, was trying to get the stripped, it ended up being a stripped out plug, so we pulled the plug. In the process, somebody who was helping me work on it that didn't know about the valve buckets knocked a couple of the valve buckets off. So I just was praying that I could just put them back in the right order, but unfortunately it did not get put back in the right order. So what I'm in the process of doing is shimming the valves, okay? Now, for those who don't know, this is a inline 4 dual overhead cam motor. So what that means is sitting right here in my trusty little thing are these camshafts. The camshafts sit on top of the cylinder head like this. They are linked by a chain to the crankshaft, which keeps the motor in time. So what you do is you align marks on the camshafts at the top of the cylinder head, making sure the number 1 cylinder is at top dead center, and this has index marks, which need to line up with this little notch right here in the case, and you line them up. You can see them in there, they're lined up. And then you bolt the cam holders down, and then you have your cylinder head. So what happens is these are shims, okay? Inside these valve buckets, I'll pull one for you guys here. All right, so give me 1 second. All right, so inside these valve buckets, there's the spring and the valve, which are held in by retainer. These valve buckets sit on top of the valves with shims inside them. And so what happens is, and we'll come back over here for this demonstration. What happens is, this is a shim right here. They come in various thicknesses. On the inside of this bucket is a little nub. That nub, the shim sits on that nub. And it like extends the distance of the bucket closer or farther away from the camshaft depending on the shim thickness. So now I'm running into a very weird issue. So here's the cam. The cam sits, the holder sits in the cam, and then the cam sits on top of the valve bucket like this. As the crankshaft moves and the engine moves, this pushes it down, and the extension, if you can look this way, see the extensions, that pushes it down because it's not a perfect circle. That forces the spring down, which forces the valve open, allowing in fuel or allowing the exhaust gases to escape depending on what valve it is. Now, for whatever reason, my number 4-cylinder and number 3-cylinder intakes, exhaust on the 4, with no shims, it is not within the specified clearance. So the clearance is basically tightness. You take one of these, a feeler gauge, and you slide it underneath the camshaft like this, and it's supposed to be a certain thickness. You're supposed to get a certain one of these blades in between it. Now, I am running into an issue where I have no clearance. I cannot get even the smallest one blade in between the cam and the bucket. And shims can only add distance, bringing it closer to the camshaft. So right now, after all the work on this bike, my theory is right now that one of the valves is bent. Luckily, in the process of building this bike, I've collected an enormous amount of parts, so I have another cylinder head and more valves. So if I have to, I'll throw the new head on and then just, do that. And the other cylinder head I have, the valves are already lapped. Everything's good. So I kind of wanted to wait to film this video until this bike was done, so I could have, the bike in the video running, and we could talk about what I've done to it and how everything is turning out. But because of my schedule, I had to film this video today. So another cool thing about Venom is in the carbs here, I have a 6 Sigma jet kit, which according to them can increase the power by up to 8%, which is, to be honest, a massive gain when it comes to horsepower and just replacing a simple jet like that. And when I did get the bike fired up on the first time before all the jazzadoshery happened with the cylinder head, it was running very strong. It sounded amazing. It revved super fast. The throttle was responsive. And now that you see I can go through this, and I've done a couple things like swapped out the hose here for a white one, brand new throttle cables, brand new grips, brand new clutch lever. I got this is a brand new clip on here. I'm putting the other one on later, but I just haven't swapped all that stuff out yet because I thought I was going to be riding like immediately the other night, but then ran into this infuriating issue here. But that issue will be solved shortly. Whether I have to put a new cylinder head on it or could take it to a machine shop, it's getting done. Another thing I've done, which I did originally on the Project 1, was I relocated the wiring harness and routed it through the frame instead of on the outside, which really greatly cleans up the look. I got these purple bolts in here, which are available on the website for purchase in M6 diameter. Painted the engine hanger nut and the lock nut. And this is probably my favorite thing about the bike, is where I mounted my start-stop button. It's sitting here in the engine hanger bracket. And one of the reasons I did that is because I really like the idea of I relocated the ignition, so I like the idea of flicking the ignition on here and then coming down here while I'm sitting on the bike and just starting it from here. I've always wanted to do that, and every vehicle I build in the future is going to have push button start. So going back to Project 1 real quick and speaking along those lines, this is getting an M-Unit Blue, which is basically a digital relay / fuse block controller. It basically eliminates all need for fuses and relays, and it's just input and output wires, and everything is digitally controlled within the M-Unit. I can hook up my phone to it, and as I'm walking up to the bike, I can have it set so the ignition cuts on. I can have it set so the headlights flash when I walk up to it. There are infinite configurability possibilities with the M-Unit Blue, and it's an amazing product. I do carry it on my website, and if you need to wire a bike, basically, you literally just plug wires into the one side and take them out on the other, and then run them to the thing that the switch controls, and you're done. It's one of the best motorcycle products that has been released in the past 10 years. I really cannot speak highly enough of it. It is an amazing product. It really is. It's whoever invented it is a genius, and I want to meet them. So that's talking about that. So other than the jet kit, I haven't really done too much to increase the performance of this bike. However, the other cylinder head that I have for the bike has been portished and polished on the heads, as well as some of the oil passages have been gone through and smoothed out and deburred. Just typical things you would do when trying to increase performance in an engine. If you've ever seen the Engine Masters episode where Dolchich and Freiberger go through the head, and Dolchich did some home porting, he got an increase of 97 horsepower from porting. Porting is one of the easiest and cheapest things you can do to increase performance in an engine. Depending on what head goes on this, I really want to try to reuse this one because I don't know, I just do. Other than that, depending on what head goes, this bike could actually see a pretty significant increase in power, which would be cool. I mean, honestly, I love these bikes, man. All right, so I don't know if I've even mentioned this because I'm a dummy, but this is a 92 CBR 600 F2. That is a 91 CBR 600 F2. So both of the bikes, I mean, they're identical. I don't even know what they changed. I think it was just fairing colors in between the 2 years. And, you know, usually when they first release something, there's a couple little bugs or issues that they have to fix with the second. So, but as far as I could see, everything on the engine is identical. Everything on the frame is identical. Even the wheels and the wheel color was identical. So basically, for all intents and purposes, these two are identical. So, random side note, this is my good boy. He is the best dog ever. His name is Kingsley, and he is super chill. Pretty soon, your boy's gonna have a t-shirt design starring this guy. Okay, but anyway, so those are the bikes, and depending on how this day goes, there might actually be a third bike in here by the end of the day. So if that happens, expect an update. And that kind of will just segue into the next vehicle. Here is my daily. I love this truck, man. I have always been the biggest fan of this year of trucks. I love the way they look. The aftermarket support is extremely strong, and they were just really well built trucks. So I love this truck. Paint is in just like really, really bad condition. That's not going to be a problem for me because, like I said, I'm going to hammer this out a little bit, Bondo over it, and then just wrap over everything. I know that's not like the best or like the correct way to repair the street metal, but this is just my daily, man. I kind of like abuse this thing. I mean, not too bad, but it definitely, you know, does work. So for like my intents and purposes, like knowing that, I mean, I'm never going to sell this truck. I mean, I got such a good deal on it, and like me being a mechanic, I know I can build it into like pretty much whatever I want. So a lot of things are going to be updated and restored. And like I said, coming up soon, there's going to be a lot of content on this truck, like mechanically speaking. Very soon, we're going to be doing, like I said, control arms, wheel bearings, hubs, sway bar links, sway bar, and a couple other goodies, rear drums. Quite possibly, like right now, this truck has the 4.3 liter V6, and the reason I did that was my thinking was, okay, I'm not like towing anything crazy. I'm not, you know, like this isn't like my fast car. So this is just my daily. So my goal was that eventually I would build this truck, but as of right now, I'm perfectly happy with it. I got the V6 because my thinking was I would be getting better gas mileage. And I mean, it's not that much different than the V8, but I mean, it adds up over time significantly. And I plan on driving this truck until it basically breaks, and then I'll build it into something cooler. Like one of my plans for this truck eventually is, right now it's got the 4L60E in it. And at some point I do want to upgrade that to the 4L80E, which is notably like a much better transmission. I might get this one built, not sure 100% on the plans. If I do something with the transmission, I'll probably end up changing up the engine configuration and going with a V8. My crazy plans for this truck are eventually I'm gonna want to get probably an LS1 and then just AEM dash. And like, this is something really small, and like there's literally coffee on the ceiling of this truck right now because I haven't detailed it in a while, and I just haven't had the urge to like attack that coffee yet. Don't like, it was ridiculous. But my goal is eventually to like make this into a plate, like remove the headliner, have like some semblance of a roll cage in here, and then have the engine start button up here, sort of like the cockpit of like a jet or something, how they have their controls up on top. So I'd probably do like my engine start here, and then like probably something to change the gauge display up here, and maybe do one or two things. I might just do the engine start, but that's way in the future. And as for right now, I mean, this truck does exactly what I need it to do. It's my daily, gets semi decent gas mileage if I don't like floor it at every light. I got my ramp for loading my bikes. When I buy a bike, that stays ratchet strapped to the sides at all times. Spare headers for the bike. I was thinking about doing electrolysis on those and trying to clean it up, but honestly at this point it's probably just scrap. So like eventually for this truck, definitely thinking about doing something with the engine and the transmission configuration, but for the like the near foreseeable future, we're just going to be doing what needs to be done mechanically. We're going to be doing bumpers, a vinyl wrap, wheels, and headlights. And the headlights I picked out for this truck are absolutely sick. Depending on what I'm going to be doing with the channel and the schedule for content, we might be doing the headlights on this in the next like week or so. I'm still in the process of sort of organizing my content and how I want to like release it. But that's basically the gist of the plans for the Chevy. And like I said, guys, each one of these vehicles is going to get their own video, and we'll go more in depth on the plans and what we want to do. But aside from the bikes, man, I saved the best for last. So let's take a walk. All right, guys, so this is Project Crazy 8. This is my 2009 Mazda RX-8. OGs know that this was my first car, and I've had it for quite some time. There was a pretty decent period of time where I didn't have my license, and I let my brother have it for 3 or 4 years. I can't remember which one it was. Like periodically we would swap cars when I got my license back and I had my Santa Fe. But now it's back in my possession, and this is gonna be like my street build. This is gonna be my stupid fast street car, and I'm going to achieve that most likely with an LS swap. I do think we are going LS swap on this. I've always kind of wanted to build a rotary engine, and I like the idea of building a rotary engine, but LS ones would just have so much more aftermarket support, and the parts are so much cheaper. You get much more power much cheaper with the LS than you would with a rotary. At least that's what I'm thinking. I haven't researched 100% the rotaries yet, so I might actually be incorrect on that. Not 100% sure. If I am, and you think that you could get more performance for the dollar out of a rotary, let me know in the comments. I'm gonna be interested to hear how that would be possible. So there's gonna be large single turbo LS swap. Obviously we're gonna have to sort custom drive shaft, engine management, axles, diff. I'm definitely keeping it rear wheel drive, not getting too crazy with anything else. So that's just like the basic gist of the plan. I have a badass Greddy wide body kit, hopefully on the way soon. It is back ordered. I don't know, like I said, I'm not 100% sure on the timeline for the builds just yet. And I mean, I'd also like your guys' input. Like, what would you guys rather see? I want to produce content that you guys want to watch. So if you can, you know, help me out in the comments and let me know what you want to see, that would definitely help me kind of figure out like priorities on the builds and figure out what would be more important to show you guys first. But I'm planning on going all out. Like, this car is the equivalent of like Project 1, the black and gold CBR, in terms of build quality that I want to go for. And the Truck and Venom are kind of in the same category, like modified and functional, but like sort of just put together and not paying all that much attention to certain aesthetics. Because if I do swap the cylinder heads on Venom and it does get the ported and polished head, then I'll see a significant gain in power. It definitely definitely increased power the last time I swapped one of those heads on the old one. So yeah, but that's getting off topic on this car. So we're definitely gonna go all out on this build. This build's probably going to be done over the course of like a year, probably, depending on what all goes down and how I schedule these things and how the website does and all that good stuff. But definitely going to go wheels. I'm not sure what I'm going to do as of yet. Obviously, this is like still in the very, very early planning stages. And like I said, for all the other builds, each one of these builds is going to get its own separate video. And I'll have the video more organized and all the parts broken down and what we're going to do with each vehicle. So definitely going to do brake upgrade. Definitely going to do coilovers. No bags. I'm going static. Not the biggest fan of bags because I want this car to boogie. I know there are some companies that are doing some amazing thing with airbags, but in my mind at least, it's just not in the same standard as coilovers, like the best coilovers, like your Olin's, you know, BC, all those good companies. One thing I always really loved about this car was the way the back looked, and the body kit definitely accentuates the back, and it definitely doesn't take too much away from the back. If anything, it accentuates it even more, which is something I'm really excited for. I was of the opinion that this is a 2009, right? So this car was out like right when the BRZ was coming out, the Scion FRS, all those cars. In my opinion, in its class, it had the best design. I thought it looked the best out of all of them. Oh, and so we're gonna go over the main reason that this car is just sitting down here. I just gave it a quick detail because it really needed it, and I haven't been taking as much care of this car as I should have, getting it ready for the build. But between the website and all the other stuff with the bikes, I'm kind of like having no time. Hopefully I get to it soon though, because I love this car. This car has one of the best chassis that I've ever driven. Like, it is just so sorted. Like, you could go any speed around any corner in this car and it just handles it. Like, it is really one of the best handling cars I've ever driven. I mean, obviously this car's 10 years old now. There's a lot of modern stuff that I'm sure is much tighter, but this was, I've driven Porsches, I've driven the new C8, I've driven plenty of Audis, plenty of Beamers, you know, all that. And in my opinion, like, from this era, I don't really think there are too many cars that could keep up with this. In my opinion, this car handled better than the 911 that I drove from that same generation. That was a Carrera 4S. It wasn't the turbo, but still the same chassis. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of this car, and I'm really excited for this build. I'm hoping you guys comment and let me know you want to see this one get built first, because like, I really want to do it. But like, regardless, one of the bikes got to get done because I need to ride so bad. I'm like going through withdrawal without riding, man. It's awful. I need something. I like really might go buy another bike soon, just so I have something running and ready and I don't have to deal with any issues, and I can like take my time on the other builds. But probably not a good idea. So like, just like an overview, and that is basically that this car has been absolutely beat to shit, both by myself and by my brother. My brother definitely much less so than I. I have so many tickets in this car, it's not even funny. So it's kind of just been sitting down at the wharf, and it's time for me to go over why exactly it's just sitting at the wharf. So I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys a little preview as to why it's here and not driving around. Everything appears to be normal until you get to that. Oh my god, dude, yo, it's so bad. So based on this location in the car, I'm assuming it's clutch or transmission. The vehicle has basically no power in any gear except for third and something else. And I don't know if that's indicating to me that it's the clutch or if it's the transmission yet, because like the clutch being just destroyed could explain why. But yeah, I'm thinking it might be transmission though, because that hole is like, dude, it got so hot. And of course now I got the hiccups. But the good news is that she does, I mean, at least last time, fires right up. Okay, definitely not right up. And oh, I forgot actually, last time I started the car, it like died. So things I know that are going bad on this car: it's at 127,000 miles. I can almost guarantee you the apex seals are bad. I can almost guarantee you it needs brake flush, transmission flush, all of that. This thing always, so you see these lines right here? This car has like a built-in warm-up procedure, and when the car warms up, the first one disappears, and then the second one will disappear, and then it revs all the way to 9,000. But the problem is it wants to die every single time I take my foot off the gas, which is why I'm having to like blip the throttle like this, because if I don't, then the car's gonna die. And I'm not sure what that's indicating yet, but honestly at this point it doesn't matter, dude. The rotary's getting pulled, and I'm probably gonna like turn it into a coffee table or something cool like that. I'm going LS1 on this. I love good V8 power, man. I love the sound of it. I love the torque. I love V8s, man. I've always wanted to build an LS top to bottom with all the fancy shit I want to put in it, and that's what I'm gonna do for this car, man, because this is gonna be I want this thing to be an absolute monster on the street. Like, I want to start at 850, but I would not be mad at it if we went up to 1200. See, it just died. So for whatever reason, I have to just keep hitting the gas, and that probably indicates, being that it's a rotary, that the engine's about to flood soon. It is a factory 6-speed transmission, and people online for used manual transmissions want as much as people are selling whole RX-8s for. So I might have another one of these by the end of the week, to be honest. And then if it is the trans, I'll just pull the trans, swap it, get this bitch up and running. Because right now, only 1 out of my 4 vehicles runs right now because of that stupid valve shim on the bike. It should be 2. But it's only 1 right now. So once I get this running and the bike running, then we can really focus on Project 8. I mean, I don't really want to even like spend the money on a transmission for this, knowing I'm going V8 swap, but I would not mind having this car to just run around and do errands in. It gets actually semi-decent gas mileage if you don't like floor it at every light, which I do, so I actually never get good gas mileage. But theoretically, I could get decent gas mileage. Definitely gave her a nice little detail. She's looking pretty clean right now. But the body of this car is just in such bad shape. Like, I mean, just like look through there. Like, it is just so beat up. Like, splash guard completely gone. Hit a raccoon doing like 110 miles an hour, and that little motherfucker did way more damage than I thought he would. Excuse my language, man. I really got to stop cursing so much. The boy's been cursing too much lately. But yeah, more examples of the body being in terrible shape. And just this paint is either just really thin from the factory, or it just does not hold up well, because it's just cracking and peeling, and you know, missing mud guard there, panels falling out. Like, this car needs a lot of work, and that's why it's a perfect candidate to rebuild into something sick. The chassis is really well sorted, and I mean, honestly, I think this thing with a V8 in it, and like, to be honest with you, probably around 600 wheel horsepower would be like ideal in terms of like what it is. Like, I'm not putting a cage in it. Might do a backseat delete for weight savings, but I do kind of like the idea of being able to take 4 people. I mean, granted, you're only really gonna get like a couple of chicks in the back, but I mean, that's fine with me, because the back seats are real, like, I don't even know where this seat is. I don't even think this seat's all the way back. Oh, it might be. So like, all right, right there, my knees are in the dash. That's like as much as I can put this seat forward and actually ride in it. And like, I would try to get in, but like, yeah, pretty much only like chicks are gonna fit in the back. Maybe a couple like skinnier guys can fit back there. I used to drive people all the time in high school, so we would throw guys in the back, but we were younger back then. I mean, I guess it doesn't like really matter. I mean, you can fit like whatever gang, whole lot of that. Dude, your boy is like certified insane. I just hope y'all know that. But yeah, so the Greddy wide body kit is really sick. I'm really excited for that, because I always loved this car, and I want to accentuate the styling of it, because I honestly think at the time this car was really ahead of its time for styling. It really was. Like, people ask me what year this is all the time because they think it's like 2015, 2016. And it's not. It's 2009. It was in the decade before that, about 7 years, 8 years. So, yeah, that's Project CRZY 8. Stay tuned, man. It's going to be sick. All right, guys. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up this video here. I hope you guys like the crazy garage update. Be sure to check out the website. I got Alice dropping soon. Shirts are going to be starting to be produced here in the next couple days. We're going to be doing a bunch of stuff with Bad Alice, man. So it's going to be amazing. Got a photo shoot in the works with a couple of really cool, creative, and talented people. And I'm really excited for the future, guys. So be sure to like and subscribe. If you guys like detailed builds and cars and bikes and all that good stuff, I'm sure you'll like the channel. So have a good one, guys, and stay crazy. So what's up, guys? That's gonna wrap up the you know, to be honest with you, I'm shooting this in the past for the future, and I kind of don't know how I'm gonna wrap up the next one yet, or what I'm even gonna call it. But that was the garage tour, the stable, some shit like that, probably. Maybe I'll just put this in the end like a cutscene blooper or something like that. Gang.